work. Now better.
Ladri, ma che
Gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light Reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie. Minimize software won't distract you. Brake Reminder and Force Brake help.
Okay, and we get points for qualifiers now. Okay, hello, everybody out there and everybody in here. Welcome to another day of AMX Global Season 2. My name is Reed, once again here with Marco. I'm a little bit closer to my camera. I have to back up so our heads are the same size. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. It's been a while, and by a while, I mean about 24 hours. So good to have you all here again. It's good to have you here again, Marco. And it's good to be here again for today's NASCAR day, right? We've got NASCAR trucks on Phoenix. We've got NASCAR Nextgen cars racing on Charlotte Motor Speedway. So going to be a great day of turning left or right. It's right? No, it's left. Okay, I was right the first time. It's my disability. I'm so sorry about that. Anyway, how are you doing today, Marco?
Doing fantastic, Reed. It's a beautiful summer evening, night here in Italy right now. And a couple of weeks back, we had basically the same races on Memorial Day Sunday. In reversed, we had the Nextgen cars at Phoenix and the trucks at Charlotte. So today we do it the opposite. And of course, as you were saying earlier, we have exciting new prize and rule book for the AMX races.
Yeah, so things are a little bit weird now, but don't worry, we're going to walk you through everything. Basically, there's two main changes. One, reverse grid. There's two segments of the race, okay, guys? Basically, what that means is you start with a 15-minute qualifier, okay? And we're going to give you the same prizes, the same points for the 15-minute qualifier as we do for the actual race, okay? That's why it says the points are for both qualifying and race. But the catch is we do reverse grid placements, and that means that once the qualifiers are over, whatever time you said during qualifiers, we're going to reverse that and then put you, if you are the slowest car in qualifiers, we put you in the front of the grid. If you're the fastest car in the qualifier, we put you in the back of the grid. We're going to flip things up a little bit, help make things a little bit more competitive, help people out, help balance things out, and we're also giving you some more points for driver cams. That means that if you are driving in AMX, please turn your camera on. We want to see you. We want to show people what the heat of passion in your eyes looks like when you are going through some of the stressful racing situations. It's going to be really exciting. So make sure to get out there, turn your cameras on, come race with us, and hopefully I've been getting some good feedback from our players on the reverse grid. At first, I thought it was a little bit weird, but now it actually makes a lot of sense, and it seems to be having a good effect on the racing.
You know, Reed, I was talking to our production crew before we jumped live. I cut my teeth as a commentator and as a broadcaster many years ago in leagues that made the reverse grid basically their bread and butter. So for me, it's kind of a throwback. And certainly something that's very common when you do some like TCR touring car kind of series. I've never seen a reverse grid on an oval, so that makes it quite interesting for tonight. I think I wouldn't say it's a first, because in the wild combinations of iRacing, certainly somebody did it before, but for me it's a first, and it's going to be interesting. And especially, of course, you might say, well, I'm going to sandbag during qualifying and get at the reverse pole, but as you were saying earlier, and the graphics our guys showed on the screen, you get, of course, the prize money also for the qualifying session. So it's quite important to push hard in both the qualifying session and of course the race, because you can effectively double your prize money, and on top of that you can add, of course, the $2 bonus for the pole for the fastest lap if it's of course an AMX 0 race, which is of course this one. AMX 5 of course coming on later tonight. Before we go into the qualifying, which is already going on, I see Diego Villarreal is racing from Uruguay. Just a few minutes ago, the FIFA Under-20 World Cup final just ended. That was Italy versus Uruguay, and Uruguay deservedly won, so they are the Under-20 World Champions. So, enhorabuena, Uruguay, for the great triumph, and of course, well-deserved. You know, it pains me. Of course, I was rooting for my country, but they deserved it.
Well, I think your country has been doing a little bit too much rooting lately. If you listen closely into the background of Marco's microphone, you can actually hear the Italian countryside still cheering on their team's victory at the 24 Hours of Le Mans over the weekend. So very happy for everybody out there who's having some success wherever it is on the racetrack. That's what I like to call my patriotism, right? It's like every time you watch a NASCAR race, it's like, well, probably America's going to win, you know? So it's not a bad day for racing or karting or LMPs or supercars or football or whatever sport you're celebrating. It's been a good weekend, hopefully, for you. And so now we can welcome you to the great sport of driving NASCAR ovals in NASCAR cars. And we are going to be on board with our 6 drivers for this qualifier. Keep in mind, you can still join at any time during qualifiers, which is kind of weird to me because now we're giving away prizes for qualifiers. So if you just hop in here real quick, get one lap off, you're getting prizes, you're getting points. So this is a look at the way things look. And as you can see, our I ratings are not necessarily representative of our players, as they're probably a little bit better than this. At least they have been previously. They got to get those numbers back up there, rookie numbers. But it's going to be a really good list of racers for us today. Caio Gaspar, Zampolini, Scully, Calavi, Villarreal, and Nico Godoy.
See Nico on his webcam right now, being very concentrated. As of course these tracks we are racing with the old school NASCAR tracks. Oh, good save there. Of course there have been a couple of generations more of tracks in the service, but these were the OG tracks, which I remember because I purchased it way back when they first came out, and now they are free content for everybody. So this race is free content for both the track and the car. So as Reid was saying, basically it costs you only the a racing subscription to join the race today. And it's old Phoenix, of course, when it still was called the Phoenix International Raceway, of course, Reid. Now it's not international anymore, and we can see that because, of course, there are 2 distinguished features of this track that are not present anymore. One, the vast amount of grass has been replaced by tarmac. In fact, in the dogleg there you can cut straight away now, and there is a lot less banking than what we have today in the modern version. Of course, the start-finish line has been moved in real life. Honestly, for this version of Phoenix was more akin to the open wheel. It was built for IndyCar, of course, originally this racetrack, and I think it's also better for competition because you cannot cut under the apron as you can do today. The times are right now very close as per usual on the ovals, and of course once again we reiterate There are points, aka dollars, aka cash, available starting from qualifying. Caio Gaspar and Fabio Zamperlini looking good in the fight for pole, but let's be careful because Manuel Scoli and I think also Gaston Culavi are incredibly close to them, lagging a bit behind Diego Villarreal, who maybe his days as non-qualifier aficionado are over, because now he has a big incentive to qualify.
Yeah, that's actually really impressive. Not only are we getting guys like Diego Villarreal who would normally not go through the qualifiers. I don't know if we're ever going to let this guy live that down, but for now, he's actually doing quite well. He had a top 3 finish yesterday, and now he's coming back and doing quite well also. Maybe needs to get his time up a little bit, but he sent me a DM when I was telling him about the new system that we were doing for reverse pole. He's like, well, now I'm going to be first place every race, because he used to not qualify, so he'd be at the bottom. But now, as we hop on board with Caio Gaspar, this guy's got a different hero arc for our new system, right? Because Caio Gaspar is very, very fast. He's incredibly skilled. He's very, very good. But unfortunately, now he has an extra challenge because he's so fast. He usually gets first place in the qualifiers sometimes. And that means that he's in the back of the grid for the start during the race, which means that he has an extra challenge.
I like that he's driving the track with a Formula Rim on his wheel. Oh, big wreck in the meantime between Scoli and Godoy. But, I love driving on ovals, especially the Cup car and the track. But lately I've been driving a lot of LMP2. In fact, I'm going to tackle the 6 hours of the Glen on Saturday on the LMP2. So I'm a bit hesitant. I want to purchase a Formula Rim, but as I say, if I want to opt between oval racing and LMP2, I need to be switching wheels every 30 minutes. But I mean, we can see that you can actually, if you're talented enough, you can drive with a Formula Rim. With I don't know if you've seen at Le Mans. Of course, they were showcasing a modified Cup car for the 24 hours of Le Mans this last couple of days, and that car had a Formula Rim, not the big NASCAR, round wheel. So it can be done in theory.
For the first time ever, no, it's not the first time ever, but we're going to do replays of qualifiers. We're going to see what happened here. It looks like, okay, so it's initially the hottest livery on the track, Nico Godoy, cutting across the grass, trying to take a shortcut, and then hitting the wall, which causes him to spin away. Wow, that wreck actually was a long time in the making. Nico Godoy coming all the way across the grass and then hitting Manuel Scoli there. So that's definitely not going to count. That's not what we want to see. I would say that we're getting that out of the way early in qualifiers, but you still have to take qualifiers quite seriously because we're giving away prize money for this.
Exactly, and of course, just like it would be, I think I like now this even more, the fact that group qualifying are quite rare in iRacing nowadays. Basically only done in the Nürburgring when the weekly series goes to the Nürburgring, Nordschleife. Of course, now we're going to have a Nordschleife only series. Every week there's going to be a different car. That's the only. And once it was like this always, you had group qualifying always separated from the race, no? But of course, it's much easier to get a good lap time when you're driving alone in qualifying, like it is now. So going in group qualifying makes that prize money even more difficult to obtain, and I think it's even better because it's quite a challenge. We only have 1 minute left. We have half of the field, even more, sitting in the pits now. Of course, you can afford to stay in the pits as long as you want, because a lap time here is quite short. You can just need to leave the pits with 30 seconds left, and of course the operating window for these trucks, and also the same for the Cup car later, is around a couple of laps, so there is no use in doing more than a couple of laps trying to get a good qualifying time. So if people want to get one last shot, there we go, Zamperlini, point in case, 28.864, provisional pole.
1,000th of a second ahead of Caio Gaspar. You got to know, Caio Gaspar was thinking, okay, I got first by a ways. It's going to be fine. And then Zamperlini comes through and gets 1,000th of a second faster. I was kind of hoping that Caio Gaspar would come out of the pits with like 1 second left and try to get one last second lap in there. But wow, that's actually really impressive. Good job, Zamperlini, getting first place. And we're going to pay Zamperlini the same amount of money as if he had won the race itself because of the way that it works. However, unfortunately for Zamperlini and Caio Gaspar, that does mean that they will be at the back of the grid. Of course, there are only 6 racers in the grid, so we'll see how much of a handicap that really is as we go through the many laps around our oval here on Phoenix.
Yes, sir. The iRacing safety vehicle is ready to go as we get once again an update on the bonus points, the points for both qualifying and race. Once again, I need to reiterate once again, if you score pole position, you get $10. If you win the race, you get $10. But of course, grid is reversed, so the pole sitter starts all the way at the back. And of course, don't forget $1 if you show up with your webcam in AMX 0. And there's the starting grid: Nico Godoy, Diego Villarreal, Gaston Culavi, Manuel Scoli, and the 2 Brazilians, Caio Gaspar and Fabio Zamperlini. Reminder, there are no cautions in AMX rules on ovals, therefore the reverse grid even more tricky because you need to stay out of trouble and not lose the lead pack. Because this is going to be even more important later when we go to Charlotte, where the draft is going to be even more important than here in a short oval like Phoenix. And of course, per iRacing rules, anything shorter than 1 mile gets 2 pace laps. This track grid is exactly 1 mile, therefore only 1 pace lap, very very short. You get thrown into the action immediately.
Yeah, I actually did not know that, so thank you for enlightening me, as always. So educational, Marco. We need a segment where Marco teaches us cool stuff. It reminds me of this. There's a segment quite popular that Formula One does a lot, teaching you about different technical aspects of engines or drafting or aerodynamics or some concept like that. I feel like Marco would be great for that. So send in your resume. I can't wait to see it. So. We're on our way around for our first pace lap and can't wait to see what's going to happen here. I'm not used to this reverse grid situation, and I always wonder if it is too much of an obstacle for some of even our best racers to overcome. Now, we've seen some incredible things from guys like Caio Gaspar, now back in the back along with Fabio Zamperlini. It's going to be an interesting start to the race. So, pace cars out of there, we are racing, and already you're starting to see some brief changes.
Oh! Somebody went to the grass!
Yeah, I think, was that Culavi? Yeah, I think it was Culavi out there on the outside. I think he recovered quite remarkably, but still, that's not the way you want to start this race already. Quite a big gap there in between the front and the back, with Caio Gaspar starting to climb.
And Villarreal too, they both went into the grass at different times, getting out of the dogleg and into turn 3 and 4, both quite good in avoiding a big crash, and Godoy into the wall, and so Scoli takes the lead, Zamperlini second, and now Godoy drops all the way down to third. Now, a point I always like to make when we race ovals on AMX, no cautions, also means you need to be gentle on the tires. They're going to last you all the 30 laps, which is much easier said than done, especially because usually here in MX the track temperature is quite high. You don't have a pit stop to go and change tires. I mean, you can go and change tires. It could be a tactic later to get fastest lap if you want, but there are no safety cars that can save you, no pace cars that can save you and give you the time to go put some fresh rubber Goodyear tires and go out. So managing those tires, crucial, Reed, because you can push hard if you want, especially in the beginning, but come the end of the race, come the end of the 30 laps, track won't behave as you want him to behave.
Yeah, that's a great point. Because there's no cautions, which I initially thought was cushions, and I was thinking, oh, do they put some soft stuff on the walls so that you could bounce off it more easily? No. Anyway, yeah, the caution does allow you to have a little bit more leeway when it comes to minor oops mistakes. But I've actually seen quite a bit of I think uncharacteristic mistakes being made here. Those early, I guess I would call them unforced errors, if you want to use the baseball term. It's just mistakes coming around the corner, not ready to start things off the way they wanted. But for Zamperlini, this is a guy that started in the very first, you got the fastest qualifier time, and now he's right back up in the second place. So this is really impressive to see him now contending for what we saw actually Kyle Gaspar do a while back, and that was to get first place in both races. So really, really cool to see him having so much success today. And actually, Manuel Scoli, who did not have quite a good qualifying time, is now holding his own, maintaining that first place position as we come through about our first third of racing.
It really looks incredibly racy. You know, one day we'll have dirt oval racing on AMX, I'm sure of it. And then we'll talk about cushion, I promise you, because it's an important feature of dirt oval racing.
Yeah.
But no cushions so far.
Yeah, we haven't actually done any dirt racing yet. It's really cool, but like if you've never done it before, the way that it feels, the way your car handles is so different that I think that might be a little bit of a big surprise for some of our racers who are used to, I guess, more traditional road races.
Yeah, it's not pick up and play by any stretch of the imagination. There are of course free content with trucks and with cars you can jump in if you want to practice on iRacing, but yeah, you need to be dedicated. Certainly, I wouldn't recommend putting it on a schedule on a whim just because. Scoli is holding on very well. We are basically 1/3 of the way through. We are on board with Fabio Zamperlini here, and he's looking for a way through. Going a bit higher, entering turn 3 and 4. Of course, the higher you enter, the more road you have to cover, but also the less stress you put on your tires, which of course is a good strategy if you want to come good come the end of the race. Caio Gaspar, I was expecting a bit more of him, but Godoy, after the smashing the wall earlier, has been proven to be a tough cookie to overtake, and still is holding strong on his provisional podium position down in third.
Nico Godoy's livery is, I think maybe Zamperlini's a little bit jealous of this guy. I think we've really stepped up our livery game in the last few weeks. So now coming around the outside, can he get it done? Pedal to the metal. He is going to hit the inside of the curve, but can he keep it? Oh, a little bit of a kiss into the wall there again for Nico Godoy, and that will solidify his place behind Caio Gaspar, who climbs up to third.
And yeah, just as we were talking about it, the commentator's curse, in my commentator's curse, because once again, Godoy smashes the wall, opens the door for Gaspar, and look who's coming behind after the scary moment at the beginning of the race is Gaston Kulavi. There he is, dressed. Now, of course, you might be asking yourself, why are these drivers, for example, Gaston in a non-summary, dress code, and having just watched the final of the Under-20 World Cup, which was played in Argentina, of course there is winter now. I'm very jealous because I hate summer, and so that's why Gaston there is wearing a hoodie. Again, very jealous. I miss winter already.
Yeah, these Southern Hemisphere people, what are they doing? It's when it's Christmas for them, it's like 30 degrees outside. I don't know, like backwards. We're supposed to have snow and reindeers during Anyway, yeah, so Nico Godoy, I always love seeing this guy. Yesterday he had this like bunny hat on with the ears over his eyes, and now he's got my daughter's bicycle helmet on just to make sure that if he has an accident. It's just like the Matrix. If you die in the game, you die in real life. So always make sure to wear your helmet, guys. It's an essential part of your iRacing setup.
So at first I thought it was like a hat designed to resemble Super Mario mushrooms, but now you're right. I think it's a bicycle helmet.
Hopefully he doesn't treat this race like Mario Kart. I think he's already had a few little kisses into the wall, so definitely needs to he's here to have a good time, right? And he is still doing very well. He's ahead of Diego Villarreal, who's towards the back, but still very close. Hot Wheels livery coming around the corner. Villarreal, we're on board with him right now, and he is looking to pass Godoy. It's still very, very close. Actually, a lot of the action happening at the very front of the pack with Zamperlini and Manuel Scoli. Zamperlini is, I think, going to make a move here in just a second. It's he's looking for any opportunity to come around, and as we come through the curve, it is going to be the time. Right now, if he wants to make it happen, this is the straightaway he's looking for. But we'll see what's going on up there in just a second as Villarreal comes around Nico Godoy, who just sort of gives it to him.
Yeah, he certainly looked like Godoy was a bit too aggressive on the throttle. Of course, the track is not going to like the various time. You can see visually the track doesn't look pristine, to use an euphemism there. So that certainly wasn't good for him as we move back to the front. And again, despite the big pressure from Zamperlini, Scoli has held on very well there at the front. Of course, the gap is minimal, so Manuel knows the smallest of mistakes will open the door to Fabio, but at the same time, of course, it's not a given, and Fabio will need to be focused all the way through, and so far, with 0.3 of a second, almost 4, he is not close enough to try and go for a move, so his only hope is to close the gap a bit more, and then go for a move, or really hope for a mistake from the leader, and of course in the meantime maybe saving a little bit of rubber. Looking around, of course, I'm looking from his webcam. I think he has a triple monitor setup, so you can really use all the big, or maybe a single big monitor, a lot of space to put all sorts of software to get you real-time data, statistics, so maybe he's also looking at that. And as I say that, Reed, look at the gap coming down to 1/10 of a second entering turn 1 and 2. Now back up to 0.3 of a second, because why not?
Well, because there are opportunities or times where it's better or worse to maybe look for that overtake, and you can see that Zamperlini is still keeping it very, very close. He's always watching, and like you said, maybe conserving a little bit of that tire track getting rubberized quite quickly. There's the track map in case you guys wanted to know, where we are, right? We're coming into turn 1, Marco.
And of course, I always say this story whenever we do this combo of Charlotte and Phoenix. Both tracks have had troubles during construction because of underground rock formations. Now, for Phoenix, this is the reason why we have this dogleg. They just basically built around it. But for Charlotte, of course, the rock formation was basically all over the infield, and this is why the infield road course in Charlotte, despite being an infield road course, which are usually boring and plain, instead has got a couple of very nice elevation changes, which is nice for us to drive there, but almost bankrupted the racetrack, which, to recoup the money, said, okay, we are going to have a big race on Memorial Day to piggyback on the Indy 500. The Coke 600, of course, still to this day, is raced after the Indy 500 on Memorial Day Sunday.
Story time with Marco. Yeah, I just thought they had hills, but natural rock formations, changing this into, if I pulled out an egg and it was shaped like this, I might not eat it. Really cool. Zamperlini, in the meantime, hit the wall a little bit, so he did take quite a bit of damage, and you can see right there on your screen I guess there's quite a few racers who have had at least some damage happening. And here is Calabi behind Gaio Gaspar. Gaspar's done quite well to get himself all the way up to third. Calabi's coming for him. He's about 6/10 back right now, but we still do have about 6 laps left to go. So plenty of time, but time is running out. We are nearing the end of our time here on the 2008 Phoenix Raceway, and I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. I mean, Caio Gaspar is very, very good. He's very fast. He's very good at, driving defensively. And this is an oval, right? So there's not as many opportunities to kind of trickily get the inside away from whoever's in front of you. You're all kind of following the same line here. So we'll see if Calavi can do it. We've seen some successful overtaking already in this race, but it hasn't been working out for Calavi. Let's see if he... and there is Caio Gaspar. You can see the screen in front of him, but he also has a little bit of a rear view mirror you can look in, and that is not going to show him anything good. Calavi continuing to close. Meanwhile, of course, up at the front of the pack, Zamperlini, after hitting that wall, is now dropped 2 seconds back of Scully, maybe having some damage issues there on his truck. There's Gaston Calavi trying to come around behind, only 0.2 of a second separating. He pulls to the inside. He might go for it any moment now, pulling closer, but won't find the option. He's still on the inside if he wanted to look for it, but it's the narrow part of the oval, so he has to back around and bide his time even more. But now half as many laps remain. Gaston Calavi, look at that, the face of a man possessed, the focus, the drive, the will to survive, all there. Gaston Calavi has 2 final laps to go.
And the numerous corrections, sorry, Reed, you can really I love the webcams that we have now, because you can really tell, you can watch from the outside. I always tell to my non-oval versed friends here in Italy and Europe, oh, it's just turn left, it's easy. No, it's not easy. Look how much the drivers are pushing, fighting with the steering wheel, and also the amount of throttle and brake feathering you have to do to be good in tire saving on the ovals. It really opens you a new chapter and can really make you, in my opinion, a better road racer if you learn how to drive on the ovals. 3 seconds the gap, as Manuel Scully will get the white flag any second now.
Yeah, we are coming down to our final lap here. And that means that realistically, there's not much time for things to change. All you have to do is make sure don't mess it up. Okay? All you have to do, go around the circle 1 time, and you're good. And it looks like most of our racers, I say looking at Nico Godoy there for a second, I was like, okay, we are going to, we're going to have everybody finish, and it looks like we are looking at what could be our final placements. A little bit of weaving back and forth there. I don't know if that's quite a ceremony, but it is kind of cool to see. Yeah, there we go. The checkered flag's coming around, getting a little bit of a bumper car there from Calavi, who couldn't unfortunately pass Caio Gaspar, but he does still take a checkered flag that puts him in 4th. There's Diego Villarreal coming through, and Nico Godoy with the final checkered flag of the night.
Yes, sir. So everybody finished, and it was a very good win for Manuel Scully. He really thrived under pressure, and it was Zamperlini who made the mistake. 3.5 seconds back. Caio Gaspar in 3rd, then Gaston Culavi, Diego Villarreal, and our reverse pole sitter Nico Godoy finishes down in 6th. What a nice way to start our NASCAR Oval Racing Sunday. And of course, it's now time for us, after this exciting race, to pack our bags and move a bit further north and east to the heart of NASCAR racing, Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yep, that's right. We're headed on up to Charlotte, North Carolina for a little bit of speedway action, coming at you with NASCAR Next-Gen cars next. But before that, we got to take a quick break, so don't go anywhere. We're going to refuel a little bit, and then when we come back, we'll have all that and more. In the meantime, make sure to hit us up on social media, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Discord server if you want to hang out. And of course, if you'd like to join us, you'd like to race with us, it's never been better or easier than ever before. You can head on over to amxrace.com, and that will allow you to sign up. You just hit the sign up button. You can race with us. Got easy times, easy tracks and cars, and the prize money is also pretty generous. So you're probably going to have a good experience there also. So we'd love to see you out here. AMXrace.com is the place to go. So while you guys are checking that out, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with our final race of the evening.
Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light Reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie. Minimize software won't distract you. Break Reminder and Force Break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force Break activates to rest your eyes. Eye Care You. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to AMX Season 2. Reed and Marco back at it again to bring you even more ovular action. We've got Nextgen Nascar cars on the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And Marco already gave us a little bit of a teaser about Charlotte Motor Speedway the other day. And we did, in the other race, we did actually race, like he mentioned last week, these tracks, and we're trying to make things both accessible and fun for everybody out there, and I think that's a good way to characterize our races today. Coming up on our next race is an AMX 5 race, which means that there's even more money on the line as we start this up. It is race 24, so we have done 24 of these races this season. That is a lot. Here's a look at the track. It is this shaped for, of course, very good reasons, as Marco shared with us earlier. It is partly cloudy with 26 degrees, so the tire is going to get a little sticky out there. 35% humidity, and then, of course, a light breeze. I kind of wish we had in our office right now. It's kind of hot here. We don't have the winter that many of our racers in South America have. This is a look at most of the big changes, and all you need to look at are kind of down towards the bottom. There's a lot of numbers, and what that says is we're giving away prizes, points, for both our qualifiers and for our races. That means that when you sign up, you're going to race through a qualifier section for 15 minutes, and you get points for that. Then that qualifies you for the race, but we're going to seed you through reverse grid placements, which means that if you place well in qualifiers, you're at the back of the grid for the race. And if you place poorly in qualifiers, we're going to put you at the front. So it's a little bit of a handicap. It kind of balances out the field, and it's been a lot of fun to see even some of our best racers try to overcome that deficit to start things off. So the biggest thing that I guess for a lot of players is our faster, easier payouts. It used to be that you have to wait until the end of the season to get paid out. But now, anytime you reach over $100 of winnings, we're just going to give it to you. Once a month, we're going to pay out everybody who has over $100, and it's not even that difficult to get up there. Additionally, at the end, you can see that if you don't reach $100 by the end of this season, Don't worry, it's still there. We're going to give it to you next season. It's not going anywhere. You'll get your money whenever you reach over $100. So this is a little bit of info about Charlotte Motor Speedway. What do we have to look forward to today from our next-gen cars on Charlotte, Marco?
Yes, of course, Charlotte in the newly rescanned version, which was rescanned by Racing because the new infield road course was built to host the second Charlotte NASCAR Cup race. Of course, we're doing the oval, so no more yellow walls, white walls, and, classic D-shaped oval, one of the prototypical ovals in the NASCAR calendar, and so many teams are based in Charlotte or around Charlotte, so it's one of those classic racetracks that always draws a big crowd for the 600 and for the Oval 400, of course, later in the season. And of course, the next-gen Cup car, there it is. We saw a modified version of this Chevy Camaro ZL1 race for 24 hours around the French countryside a few hours ago, now back into the original version, and of course on a track more suited to its characteristics, even though this new car, the next-gen car that came out last year, is certainly much more road going than oval going, with all the new bells and whistles, a sequential gearbox, 5 speed of course, and the new suspension system really makes this car perfect both for oval racing and for road racing as well. Of course, the drivers have free choice of 3 manufacturers: the Chevy, of course, the Toyota, and my favorite one, of course, the Ford. Of course, they are equal in performance, and setups are shared. The only thing that changes is the outside looks of the car in iRacing. And so we'll see what the drivers have picked. And of course, always nice liveries being selected by these drivers as we enter a race. And as Reed was saying earlier, and as we've seen for the track race 1 hour ago, qualifying session 5 minutes longer, of course, than usual, and the prize money already on offer right now during the qualifying session.
Yeah, that's right. We are giving away prize money for qualifiers. Let that sink in, guys. It's true. It's real. It's been happening for at least a day now. And I think hopefully everybody's going to get used to that, but it is a little bit of a change. So don't just think that these are qualifiers. They are just as important as the race itself. So yeah, this is a trip around Charlotte Motor Speedway. Charlotte, really interesting. It's got incredibly high camber on the walls as you come around the corner, which does allow it to be very, very quick. But the problem is, if you're used to racing pure ovals, you can't just hold the steering wheel. The steering wheel, that's of course the animal that you use to turn your car. As you go around the corners, because it does, the angle changes because of the D shape of the track, if you will. So it is a little bit more difficult than it might seem if you're expecting just, running around in an oval. So a lot to consider here as we hop on board 5 of our racers: Kyle Gaspar, Zamperlini, Resenge, Godoy, and Diego Villarreal. And already a little bit of pit action there being needed. I didn't catch exactly who that was that ran off the track, but already a little bit of action. As now our screen is black, and now we're going to see it. Oh, wow. That was a really interesting transition.
Yes, and I don't think that the whale was a wrong comparison, because these cars are designed to be difficult to drive. Especially the previous generation. This one, again, slightly easier. Maybe, no, easier is not the right word. More technologically advanced, I'd say, but still quite difficult. Actually, the drivers themselves, Reed, when this car was being built by NASCAR during the extensive testing in 2019, 2020, and 21, the drivers themselves in real life ask for a more difficult car to drive. So these cars are designed to push you through the limit as we see the results of the practice session with Gaspar Zamperini, Resenji, Godoy, and Villarreal, all very close to each other. Now the qualifying starts. And what we said for Phoenix is the same here as well. 2 laps, mostly, in qualifying pace. Of course, fixed setup. But even if you want to change the fuel in NASCAR in real life, you can't, and the same goes for iRacing. Oh boy, because of course fuel is fixed. In real life as well, you cannot start with like less fuel than full tank. One important thing, of course, the track earlier, the old NASCAR track on iRacing, using the old damage model, and we've seen towards the end of the race some oddly shaped tracks. The NASCAR Nextgen car, of course, featuring the new damage model, so we will see in case of a crash, which we hope we don't have, you'll see like detachable parts, bumpers, hoods flying every which way. So, but we hope, Reed, that the drivers keep their cup cars all in one piece.
Well, I mean, yes, of course. We want our drivers to stay safe, which is why some of our drivers have opted for some interesting protective headwear. The bright pink bicycle helmet from Nico Godoy. I'm not sure if that's going to help him, but oh, we're going right into the wall again. Oof. There it is. Kyle Gaspar really trying to start his DJ career, spinning as much as he can. Not a great strategy, as he will head out. And it looks like we lost somebody. Oh, no, actually, that's just qualifiers. Okay, sorry. I was so used to seeing the 6 racers from our last race that I thought one of them just disappeared in the middle, which is how you can tell it is a very early morning.
The characteristics of the car and of course of the racetrack, especially after the renovation works and of course the new Scanaway Racing, makes this track basically for the first couple of laps, I wouldn't say flat out, because you can hear here, for example, our provisional pole sitter Jackson Hasenji lifting a bit, entering the corners, and this is of course going to be very important later down the line during the race, because when we are racing in Phoenix, and as you can see, of course, once again the prize pool for both quali and the race, of course the reverse grid will also be in effect. Remember, mandatory driver cams and the entry fee of $5 for the AMX 5 races, such as this one. As I was saying, it's quite important, because at Phoenix, the nature of the racetrack you tend to lift and brake automatically, no? As a Hasenji hits the wall, so the lap won't count. Of course, you slow down a bit. Here at Charlotte, you are tempted to go, full pedal to the metal all the way around, especially in the first few laps. You can do that if you want, but you shouldn't. For the same thing we were saying earlier, respect the tires, as my friend Jordan Taylor would say. And if you don't respect your tires, they won't respect you.
That's a great saying. I'm gonna have to steal that one. I'll just attribute it to you instead. But the idea is that for NASCAR specifically, if you're not doing one of these 100 lap races, right? You're gonna have the same tires for the entire race. Same goes for qualifiers. Even though it's only 15 minutes, that's still quite a bit of wear and tear on the tires. So you definitely have to keep an eye on not pushing it too hard. Even though you can, doesn't mean that you should. So something to keep an eye on. And additionally, kind of interesting to see how this race is going to change or be different from our previous race, right? For our last race, we had Kyle Gaspar get beat out narrowly by Fabio Zamperlini, who placed 1,000th of a second faster to claim that first place, and now struggling a little bit more, but we'll see if he can put up one of those last second qualifying times to steal that first place again away again. And also, once the actual race starts, we have to see if Kyle Gaspar can maybe retain or regain that first place spot. But again, we have a little bit of a rub there. Resenge into the wall. And wow, this is a very eventful practice and qualifying session.
Yeah, Jackson really had already a couple of big shots trying to push, especially for the second lap. You really go on the limit. Here we go with Gaspar trying to improve. He's on pole for just 0.013. Can he improve? He can't, but Diego Villarreal setting 30.785. Apologies. Again, not improving. We can see a nice rainbow of all the possible licenses in iRacing. Red being the rookie, brown being orange, D class, yellow being the C class, green being the B class, and blue being the A class. That's the safety rating of the driver, and of course the I rating, the ELO rating system that iRacing uses for determining splitting in official races. That's of course in the numbers inside the little orange boxes. Orange, they're not boxes, they are rectangles. I'm sorry, maths are not my strong suit, and colors as well, as you might have figured out right now.
I would have called them a box also. You know, when they say box, as in like go to the pit lane, right? It's not really a box. It's more of a rectangle also, so speaking metaphorically, something that we do in racing sometimes. Okay, so what's going on right now?
Good luck for Resenge.
Yeah, Godoy is out there. He needs to maybe come back a little bit. I mean, that's the great thing about qualifiers, right? You don't have to race the entire qualifier. You just go out there, put up a good lap, and you're done. But you do need to put up a lap. If you don't race during the qualifiers, you don't get reverse placemented on the grid, at least in theory. I haven't seen that happen because all of our racers are law-abiding citizens, and they always come out and do their qualifying laps when they need to. But for Nico Godoy, he still has yet to put one up. We're on board with Kyle Gaspar, who's currently in first place, but once again, only by almost thousandths of a second. This time it's Resenge, who's 13 hundredths away. So you can really see these qualifiers quite close. Yeah, I mean, it is an oval, so it's going to be closer than longer road courses, but still pretty impressive to see how similarly our players are able to go. A big fan of the Flintstones mobile from Nico Godoy, as always, killing it with his inner child liveries here. The Flintstones very well represented, although I don't think that car has rocks for wheels.
Nico Godoy, in Italian, the Flintstones are called gli antenati, which basically means the progenitors. The old relatives for some reason.
Oh yeah.
And,
okay.
And the Jetsons, the futuristic version of the Flintstones, are called like the pronipoti, so the nephews for a long way in front. So yeah, kind of weird. In Italy, we love to translate needlessly the titles of movies and cartoons and whatnot. So. Yeah, but I mean, you can see that basically he has his body, and now he's a new hat as well. This is like basically how do you call that? A ribbon, like a
bow on top. Yeah.
Bow. Oh yes, thank you.
So I'm always curious, Marco, if Italia is translating their names. I always wondered how they translated the names for the Fast and Furious films. Is it actually still Too Fast, Too Furious?
Yes, boringly, yes.
Oh man, I was so hopeful that we were going to get some weird translation of Tokyo Drift or something. I have no idea what they would do with that, but I I believe the potential is out there. So I'll have to suggest that for the next one. Although I guess this is the last one coming up. So, well, we have some pretty fast and furious race. This is my best attempt at a segue. Racing today already. We're 10 minutes through the qualifiers, which ordinarily would mean the end of the qualifiers, but no, 15-minute qualifiers now because they are more important than ever. And that means that our racers need to put the pedal to the metal, and indeed we have them doing that right now. Nico Godoy getting out there and setting a 31.2 as his lap time. He'll be continuing to improve on that and seeing if he can climb up a little bit. But for now, we actually had Resenge upset Caio Gaspar by 15 hundredths of a second. That's almost exactly what happened in the first race. We had Zamperlini actually displace Gaspar from the lead, but all of our drivers are out there setting times. It's only 30 seconds for a lap, so you're going to see more and more times be set. Zamperlini outlap right now, but you get the idea. They are all coming for that first place spot, which is just separated by, first and third are separated by only mere moments, as Caio Gaspar down to 44 seconds back, or 44 tenths back. Resenge, of course, setting even faster times. So very, very impressive showings from all of our racers, continuing to improve on greatness.
Yeah, good luck for Senji in the previous attempt and almost identical in this second attempt. In the first attempt he improved in the first sector and was slow in the second sector, so basically the back half of the lap. In the second attempt he was slow in the first part and the fastest overall time in the second half of the track wasn't enough to improve this second attempt, but still he just squeaked by, as you were saying earlier, now 0.044 ahead of his fellow countryman Caio Gaspar, and you can see third lap now for Resenge in this run, not improving anymore. So I think he should head back for the pit lane, something that has been done by both Godoy and Gaspar. Gaspar, of course, second. Zamperlini also, I think, one to watch for pole, and of course for reverse pole. Nico Godoy, so far looking good for him, 31.0. So let's see. Yeah, Resenge also comes out for another attempt. You can see down on the bottom of your screens. Once again, very important to note this. If you want to take part, we kindly and strongly invite you to take part because it's a lot of fun and because the season is almost over. But don't worry, because if you missed it at the beginning of this race, the prize money you accumulate over the course, even if you just take part from now until the end of the season in a couple of weeks' time, well, that prize money, you can keep it in the future seasons. And that's, of course, very, very interesting. Actually, I think I have only 3 broadcasts left for the season. Tonight, tomorrow, and next Sunday. So it's incredible. We have had so much fun, and it's almost over.
Well, I mean, just like the payouts, they roll over to next season, and hopefully you will too, Marco. It's been a very special season to be involved here at AMX, so very excited to see it come to a close, not so that it can end, but so that we can take a little bit of a break, make everything even better, and come back for Season 3. So for everybody out there, just a big thanks to those of you who have watched this season. It's pretty cool to see so many racers come out and race this season and be consistent faces like all of the racers that you see there on your screen. We are coming to the end of qualifiers with only seconds left, with Caio Gaspar continuing to try to improve that time. But that is just 30.4 is not bad. By way of comparison, if you were racing real cars around the track, it would take you about 30 seconds anyway on your NASCAR cars, Xfinity Cup, Nextgen, all that stuff. Puts you at about 30 seconds. So this is sort of the barrier by way of comparison. Nico Godoy out here to also try to set some better times. He's only 7 hundredths back of Diego Villarreal, But that's going to do it for our qualifiers. It is Nico Godoy switching around the first place, but why? Oh, wait, it's reverse qualifiers. So this is what the qualifying results look like with Jackson Resenje, Kyle Gaspar, Fabio Zamperlini, Diego Villarreal, and Nico Godoy in order for now. I appreciate our audience listening very intently. I'm glad we got the close-up of our box audience. But for not for long, we've got the reverse qualifier grid coming up soon. It's going to be a little bit of a switch, but Nico Godoy goes to first, and then Resenje goes back down to last. It is only 5 cars, so it's not that big of a handicap, but it still actually could make quite a big difference.
Absolutely, and all the points we've made for Phoenix are still valid for this race. Of course, starting towards the back, as you can see now, the reverse grid with Godoy, Villarreal, and then the 3 Brazilians, Zamperlini, Gaspar, and Resenje, on also beautifully displayed in the side of the look how the pace car basically slides into position when the pace lap starts, and now the drivers will roll themselves. Always a scary proposition, especially if you don't have triples or VR. You need to be careful not to hit anyone around you. As I was saying, you need to get to the front, you need to get to the front safely, not making any mistakes. Easier said than done. A big thumbs down for we have 2 drivers with the same livery, which oh jeez, who was that? Resenje. That is not good for his tires, and he needs to push hard to get back to the field, because and his tires won't like that, I tell you.
Yeah, that could actually be. I mean, I guess he could head back to pit, but he wouldn't be back fast enough onto the track. So yeah, he needs to speed back up, get into formation here. And so yeah, he is going to be able to get back into formation, but even maintaining this formation is not easy, apparently. I kind of thought when the safety car was out there, things were supposed to be a little bit safer, but apparently not. And there goes the safety car out of there. That means that our race is about to begin. Green flag man out there ready to do his job, and so are our racers. But you got to keep it straight. You got to keep it on the track and off the wall, and that could be a little bit difficult for some of our drivers. You can see a big move down from the bottom. My God, Jackson Resenje. He's hitting the rocket boosters way out in front. What a beautiful move.
Yeah, Reed, I think at the start of the race, Godoy had a little bit of an uncertain moment when it was time to push on the gas pedal. That caused a bit of a backup all over the field. But unfortunately, Diego Villarreal, I think he got a jump start penalty, and sadly, he has to head for the pit lane to take care of this penalty, because I think he was a bit too quick, and that was caused possibly by the drivers again not being ready, especially the top drivers not being in a position to be safely pushing that gas pedal. Anyways, Resenje, from almost embarrassingly smashing into the barrier on the pace lap to leading the race quite quickly, might I add. But Gaspar now 30.59 is the fastest lap of the race so far. We will see if the 2 Brazilians following the leading Brazilian are going to be able to close the gap for what promises to be an exciting and thrilling race here at Charlotte.
Enthralling. Yeah, definitely have to get Diego Villarreal out there again. Making up laps is not entirely unheard of, but they probably need to get out there. Is pitting, so he'll come back with fresh tires, which could make his opportunities to get fastest lap another $10 in your pocket, or is it $5? So that's some option for him to come back with, and he is coming out of the pits right now, ready to join us a couple laps back. I mean, it's an oval, so he will be in front of the pack for now. But yeah, I don't know. I did not see this particular start coming. Let's see where that penalty comes in as we get our AMX instant action replay.
I think, Reed, when the green flag dropped, he was in front of Godoy, and that's all it takes sometimes to get penalized. Because at the start of the race, the pole sitter, once the pace car pulls into the pit lane or pit road, the inside lane leader is effectively the new pace car, so you are not allowed to pass him.
Yeah, I mean, it's everybody plays by the same rules. Now, it's not like it's a surprise. It's not like you go, hey, wait a second, I was. No, you know where your car was. Cars are big, so just play by the rules. And unfortunately for Diego Villarreal, that means that he will be a couple of laps back. No stranger to being in this situation, so maybe feeling a little bit at home. But very interesting to see. Not only did we have that big move by Jackson Resenje go all the way down the inside and take first place again, we also had Caio Gaspar come back from the back to be second, only 0.6 back of Jackson Resenje. So that will definitely be a really cool battle to watch, as well as will be Fabio Zamperlini. And it's kind of interesting to see being on board with Diego Villarreal. In his rearview mirror, we do see the likes of Jackson Resenje, like you can see on the back of your screen, because he's leading, coming up behind him. And, there are some, I guess I would say, etiquette rules. If you are laps back, then in theory you shouldn't be too much of an obstacle for everybody coming up behind you. But I don't know, we don't run into this situation all that often.
And also, judging by the start replay, if I saw that correctly, I think that Caio Gaspar smacked into the back of Godoy, I think, at the start. I'm looking, he's got a very, very black livery, so in these darker liveries sometimes it's difficult to assess the damage from our vantage point, but I think his car is okay, and with the new damage model, more often than not, you can get away with a couple of smacks like that. They actually built in some sort of a damage progression to the parts of the car, so if you give like 4 or 5 small hits, it will then, the wear and tear will then cause progressive damage, so maybe you can get away with a couple of smacks here and there. Looks good. Of course, now we're looking back at Fabio Zamperlini from Caio Gaspar's car, but the gap 0.7 of a second. Resenji made a mistake coming out of turn 2 on lap 8. The gap went down to 0.3 of a second, but all of a sudden now it's back up to 0.8 of a second. So looking good for Jackson, and Gaspar and Zamperlini have to, come up with a plan, so to speak, Reed, in order to... You can see that, of course, Jackson is also enjoying for some nice draft from the number 22 of Diego Villarreal in front of him.
No, that's actually really interesting. Usually, if you're the race leader, you actually have quite a disadvantage because there's no drafting available to you. You're the one taking the brunt of all the air resistance ahead of you. But now, because Diego Villarreal is 2 laps back, he's actually giving that draft to Jackson Resenje, allowing him to not only be in the lead, but maintain that lead and get this draft to make him go even faster. Really unique situation to find ourselves here on Charlotte Motor Speedway. Jackson Resenje getting a little bit of a help from Diego Villarreal in front or behind, however you want to look at it.
And wouldn't you believe it, Reed, we are already almost at the halfway mark of this second and final race of the day on AMX Global. Remember, amxrace.com if you want to sign up and look at the schedule for the remainder of the season. And of course, as I was saying earlier, the prizes you win, they will roll into next season, so don't be discouraged. You can start racing basically, well, not today, tomorrow, for the next round of races, and start building your prize, your little treasure chest for the next season. Here comes Fabio Zamperlini on the inside of Caio Gaspar, and that's the overtake done and dusted. So Zamperlini to second, Gaspar down to third.
Yeah, wow, really compelling move there. Kind of hard to see because they are both running the same livery, but you get the idea. Still a very good move, and not necessarily one that's incredibly safe, though. Caio Gaspar might be behind for now, but he is going to get that draft. He is still absolutely gunning for that second position. That's who we're on board with right now, watching from the rear view of Fabio Zamperlini, who's he's going to feel pretty good about that. He's climbed for the second time today into that coveted second place spot. We'll see if he can hang on and hold it for how long, because he does have Caio Gaspar nipping at his heels for the rest of the race.
A look at the stopwatch, and in this lap already Zamperlini took out 0.2 of a second from Jackson Hasenji. Now, of course, we'll see if it's just a one-off or if really Fabio is going to be able to keep pushing all the way through. Of course, as we were saying earlier, you need to be gentle on the tires, but with half of the race left, if you have something left in your reservoir, you should go for it. Now, again, almost 0.2 of a second from Zamperlini gained towards Hasenji, so this could be interesting. Of course, Jackson still has Diego Villarreal in front of him. I think he's at a perfect distance. He's not too close as to create some dirt here, but not too far away not to give him the draft on the straight. So far so good, but look at that once again, 31.4, 31.2, closer and closer.
Just listening to the zoom sounds. Our drivers drive right by our cameras, excellently well placed. Very good view there. Is so cool. I always wondered, you know, if you have race marshaling, right? You got to take some nerves of steel to be that close when you have cars coming around that quickly, straight at you. And so I have a newfound respect for our e-camera people who stand out there to get us the best views possible. Also, for our racer camera people, guys like Caio Gaspar, you're curious what it looks like to have incredibly fast racing speeds. Look no further. This guy's got it. You get to see not only his sexy face, his setup, but also his view, and kind of see what he sees going through this race, right? Even if they're not on board with him, I mean, we are. So, but you can just kind of see what it looks like. He's got a really cool setup there, and always interesting to compare setups because everybody's a little bit different and can achieve a little bit different results with whatever they have. So, cool to see Caio Gaspar once again able to come back from that reverse grid deficit, but still pretty far off the lead with only 10 laps to go.
Let's see lap times, 31.7 for Jackson Hasenji, 31.7 for Fabio Zamperlini, 31.7 for Caio Gaspar. So, as Diego makes close acquaintance with the turn 2 wall. So this lap time, all top 3 contenders were running virtually identical lap times. As we look at Diego Villarreal, he is racing with the traditional, round rim that comes with basically every wheel, unless the higher you go with tier of hardware you buy, some of those come with a Formula rim. But now the gap down to 0.9 of a second. So the fact of the matter is, I think that Zamperlini is gaining, but is gaining less and less and less. And with, as you were saying, less than 10 laps to go, well, maybe that won't be enough, but we shall see, because the tire fall-off is real. And don't forget, Jackson had the huge moment in the pace lap, and again, he took out I would say 3 or 4 laps from his tires for doing that.
Yeah, and it's not even about that tire wear. The tire wear has been going for almost everyone, except we did have Nico Godoy and Diego Villarreal hit the pits quite a bit. And so if Diego Villarreal rejoins us after his time in the pits, he will have those fresh tires, and he will be able to go for potentially a contest of Caio Gaspar's fastest lap time. And, keep in mind, it's not often that you see racers, well, I guess it happens reasonably frequently, but my point is, if you're in first place, you're very fast at driving, and so in theory, you should also be able to set the fastest lap on the track. Currently, that fastest lap is going to Kyle Gaspar, I believe, who is just tearing it up back there. Still not really making it a competitive situation between himself and maybe Fabio Zamperlini. But that first-second battle still looking pretty tight. Zamperlini continuing to contest and see if he can make up or climb towards the front of the race. And you can see there his qualifying time, 31.8 on your screen. I'm not sure if we have confirmation about that. I actually thought it was different, but even still very, very impressive with not a lot of room for improvement. So looking forward to see what Fabio can do. He's got about 10 laps to do it, and obviously this is NASCAR, so I'm required by law to say that anything can happen.
As we say in Italy, the laps go by just like cherries on a summer day, because you blink and there's another lap less to do. So Fabio really needs to push only half a second back. He's really, really close. Does he have enough time?
He is very, very close, and it's only getting closer. You can see that gap narrowing for the most part. Zamperlini is going to be the battle to watch for the remainder of this race. 3 laps to go. I think we had Diego have some more difficulties as he comes back out of the pits. I'm not sure exactly where that puts him. Let's see, 22. Okay, so he's kind of middle of the pack behind that number 4 car of Nico Godoy. So we've sort of got the back of the pack lapped by these front runners, Resenje, Zamperlini. Sectors mere hundredths of a second's difference between these two guys. You can absolutely see how terrifying that looks out of the rear view window. This is some Mad Max Fury Road things. You see things like this in your rear view mirror. I am going to pull my SUV over to the side of the road instantly if this is what my rear view looks like. Look at Fabio Zamperlini, muscles tensed, poised. At any moment, he knows he could take back leadership of this race. 0.2 of a second left. We are nearing the white flag. It's coming up. We're halfway across Charlotte Motor Speedway, and if he's going to make it happen, now might be the time.
He's so close, 0.2 of a second as they come out of turn 4 to get the white flag read. He's going to go down to the wire. Look at Fabio. He's got a fantastic run.
Yep, the wire is where it is coming. Fabio Zamperlini now closing to within 0.1 of a second. Can he do it? He is coming around the inside. This is the opportunity he's been looking for. He's dangerously close, and he clips it. Oh my God! Just barely nicking the back end. Jackson Resenje. You can see the damage there on the front line. Now Resenje is going to get lapped. Also, Kyle Gaspar coming back up. But actually, Resenje able to keep it close. Now an even closer battle as we have the checkered flag drop. And the checkers come through. It's Resenje in second. And Kyle Gaspar with 25 hundredths of a second behind him to make up an all-Brazil podium for our time here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Man, I don't know if there was contact there. If there was contact, it was the slightest of contact, but I think that Jackson was really on the limit coming out of turn 2, and then he threw a big block down bottom to avoid getting overtaken by Fabio. It didn't work. Somehow he regained control, he smacked into the barrier, and then this photo finish for second place. You know, we talked about Super Mario earlier, so I can say it, mamma mia, what a finish.
And in truth, I think you're the person most allowed to say that, so I'm going to allow it. Wow, what a race! This is why I say anything can happen. You saw Zamperlini just pushing pedal to the metal. What an absolutely banger of a finish here. Resenje comes in second, surprisingly. Zamperlini coming in first. Wow, I did not expect to see that happen. Zamperlini has really kind of turned up the gas a little bit. He early on in the season was really sort of your fourth place, third place finisher. He would always be close to the leaders of the race, but now you really see some huge changes being made as he now comes out your winner. Congratulations to Fabio Samperlini. He also was the fastest racer in our first race in qualifiers too, even faster than Kyle Gaspar. So very, very exciting series of races, and wow. For all of our racers, you can really see that they are continuing to improve. Don't let their iRating fool you. New season means that they do have to get that all the way back up there. Always very interested in some of our guys like Gael Valera, right? 9K iRating. Now he's got to get it all back. So we'll see what our racers can do as the season concludes. That was a great point you made earlier, Marco. We've only got about 5-10 races left. Not many. So if anybody out there is watching, make sure to head on over to amxrace.com and get out there, get in here, and race with us. Any final words before we close things out today, Marco?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic day of racing. We will be back in basically 48 hours, if memory serves me right, for a nice combo. We will start with the Formula V's at the Grand Prix Strecke of the Nürburgring, that's AMX 0, and then front wheel drive touring car action from Tsukuba. That's going to be the TCR class for AMX 5. So can't wait. It was a fantastic night of racing with the on the ovals. Now back to some more road racing with the Formula V's and the TCR. It's going to be fantastic in 48 hours time, right here.
That's right, Marco. We're going to take a little bit of a break for a day and then come back with even more AMX action. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more from AMX Season 2 coming up in a couple of days. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you then.